Hello, fantasy people. Welcome back to the rookie and the pro. And we are 3 weeks into fantasy football season.
And what a 3 weeks it has been. My goodness gracious. I tell you what. I so for the people watching, I think I've mentioned this to you, Matt. The scorecard for when I drafted my team gave me like a D minus, and they said I would have like 3 wins throughout this entire season. I've already
Hmm.
got 3 wins. This last week was absolutely insane. I was so sure that I was going to I was like, okay, this is my loss. Cool. I'm cool with it. And I think at one point I was projected at like 78 points. I ended up with like 123 or something like that.
Yeah, and we'll dive into the matchups here and everything. But what I've been trying to tell you is like the first 4 weeks, all bets are off. It doesn't matter what happened last season and what you think you might know going into this season and everything. It's a brand new season. Everybody's trying to get the hang of things. Different teams are doing, better or worse than last year.
Mhm.
Um, our Vikings got off to a really hot 3-0 start, right? Under a quarterback that was kind of left for dead by most other teams and did a year of QB rehab over in San Francisco. Now he's killing it with Minnesota. So, um, man, the thing I hate the most this year is the amount of injuries. It
Mm.
has been injury riddled from the get go. Um, I've seen this most with my one of my ESPN leagues. Pretty much my entire bench is injured right
Oh
now.
gosh.
It's a bad deal. My starting quarterback got injured week one. My backup quarterback got injured week two. Uh, my my first round pick, Christian McCaffrey, has been put on IR and hasn't played, and now is going to Germany to get an opinion on his Achilles and everything.
Dang.
So it's just crazy
Yeah.
how many injuries, how many you know star players have gotten injured already. Um, and so that's been my biggest takeaway. Um, but what have you thought so far? It's been 3 weeks. You've kind of got to dabble into it and everything a little bit. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so it's been really interesting. I've definitely been a little bit more glued to it than I thought I would be.
Hmm.
So the first 2 weeks were really interesting for me because I was on vacation, and Saturdays and Sundays were our driving days while we were on vacation. So me and my best friend, he's a big football guy, and
Hmm.
I'm not a football guy at all. So on Sunday, he was tuned into the Red Zone. So he's got a subscription to that. And so I got to listen to a taste. I got to get a little bit of a taste of what the Red Zone is,
Yeah.
and listen in. As he was driving, he had it on the car radio, and so I got to listen in on the Red Zone, and I had my phone pulled up with the Yahoo Fantasy app, and so I could be watching the points go up and see like what and then I'll hear. I think it was the first week I would kept hearing like Josh Allen. Like I wasn't
Hmm.
planning on paying attention to the red zone, and then I kept hearing, and I was like, that's my quarterback. I know that. So I pull up fantasy stuff and I'm looking at it, and so I'm starting to connect the dots between what's going on in the games and what's going on in my fantasy app, and as I'm
Yep.
watching how things are playing out and everything. So that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I no longer have access to the red zone because uh, it's not really worth my money, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but as in was it this what was it 2 days ago,
Hmm.
Sunday, I did have the fantasy app open, and I was looking through, and just kind of passively watching the numbers, and so like I wasn't paying attention to the games themselves, but I still
Right.
had I could still pay attention and watch how my team was doing. And you could definitely say it was a bit of a roller coaster. With the noon games, my players doing absolutely horrifically. I got down to like a 6% chance of winning at one point, with like 78% or 78 points projected to me, and like 115 projected to the other guy. And
Right.
then slowly, as the evening games or the afternoon games were playing on, and into the evening game, I ended up eking out, I think, 1 point above the other guy by the end of the evening game, and I still had my quarterback, Josh Allen, still hadn't played.
Yeah.
Versus the other guy's entire team had played. So I beat him out 1 point over, and then all of Josh Allen's was just like icing on top. Where I just it was just like everything he added just put me that much more over the other guy.
Right.
So and he got
And
me
now,
30 points. So
and you don't. Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have like a Disney Plus or like ESPN Plus
Mm-mm.
subscription or anything,
No.
and because so that's where you're gonna find your Monday Night Football. And so like those that stream Hulu and stuff, you can get the Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu all bundled together for a lower
Mhm.
rate and everything, which is typically what I do. Um, but man, that was a hell of a game. Mostly because I got Josh Allen in my dynasty league, and so he put up, I want to say, almost 40 points. So yeah, he absolutely killed it. He is on a roll. Um, he's always, I mean, for the last 3-4 years, been my number one quarterback to target and everything. Um, but I feel like I kind of had the same experience this week. I was playing one of my coworkers, Casey, this week, right? And he,
Mm.
just like you, he's never played fantasy football. He's a little more into football and everything than you are, but he's never played fantasy football, and so um, he's kind of learning on the fly as we go. And so this week, I was projected to, initially be 6 points less than him,
Mhm.
and I ended up blowing him out by about 40 points. 40,
Yeah.
41 points is what I'm looking at right here. So obviously, he had some players that didn't do so well for him. Um, this week, I had some that like really took off, like Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry, my running backs, gave me, try and do the quick math here, but about 55, almost 56 points. Um, so that was almost half my total right there. You throw in Dak Prescott with almost 30 points right there. I mean, that was solid, and that got me over the hump, despite Calvin Ridley only getting me 1.4 points this week. So it can be tough kind of when players have bad games like that.
Mhm.
Um, but
I actually got
nevertheless,
I actually got really lucky because I actually switched out one of my wide receivers. So I had Nico
yeah,
Collins. For the first 2 weeks, I had Nico Collins and
which he's been a stud, you know,
Rice in my forget Rice's first name.
Rasheed.
Rashee Rice. Those have been my two wide receivers. But when I was looking at it, it was putting Nico Collins at a Q for questionable. And so
Right.
even though he was projected to have like 13 points, and one of my benched guys, Derek Johnson, is that right? Derek? The D Johnson.
Wide
Uh,
receiver
yeah,
for
Carolina.
Carolina,
Yeah,
Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson. Okay. He was projected to have lesser points, but Nico Collins was they said he was questionable. So I decided to swap him out. And that was actually a crazy move because Nico Collins only got 10 points for me sitting on my bench versus Johnson got me 22 points. And he would have been sitting on my bench if I hadn't swapped him out.
Right.
So
And
that was actually Like that was crazy.
Well, what's
Very lucky.
crazy is the fact that your lack of knowledge about football actually helped you in this sense. Um, because I feel like for the most part, anybody that's a seasoned football veteran probably would have played Nico Collins over Deontay Johnson. And here's why. When you have the hot hand, you ride the hot hand. So
Hmm.
you keep playing Nico Collins and everything. And if
Hmm.
he has one bad game, you don't let that really kind of affect it. You know he's a stud. He's going to be getting targets and points and everything. And you said he had 10 points?
He had 10.6 points. Yeah.
So I mean that's still a pretty solid, number and everything to get out of a wide receiver. It's
Hmm.
not the 1.4 that I got from Calvin Ridley. Um, but despite that, um, yeah, like Deontay Johnson's on the Carolina Panthers, and with you not knowing football, Carolina Panthers are just an absolute dumpster fire. Okay, they were the worst team in the league last year. They didn't have the first overall pick this year because they traded away last year to pick a quarterback that hasn't looked good at all. In fact, they actually benched him to have the backup quarterback Andy Dalton start in week 3. And so because that Carolina team has been so terrible offensively, like just the fantasy points have not been there.
Hmm.
And so normally you would not play him. But Andy Dalton came in and gave the whole team, a little spark of life and everything. They won a game. They actually handily beat uh, the Raiders.
Hmm.
And, you know, as luck would have it, you ended up starting him instead and you got all those extra points and everything. So
Yeah.
it might be time to change your name from the Yahoo Given Awesome Amigos to It's
Actually,
Better to
that
Be
wasn't Yahoo
Lucky Than
Given.
Good. Oh,
I
really? So you
renamed
did?
that too.
Oh, because Yahoo does that where they just take the first letter, your first name, that you're using and whatnot, and then they do, whatever,
I just
Adam
matched their
Adam's
style.
awesome team. Okay, yeah, no, you did good. You had me fooled, you know,
Yeah.
eh, going with that, but it might be time to change it to it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, I think I might. Uh, oh, yeah, I got a question for you. So,
Yeah,
over these last 3 weeks, so when I was doing my drafting, I picked up. There's a couple of positions I picked up pretty early because everybody was going for like like specific wide receivers or running backs
yeah,
or whatever. So while everybody was distracted with those guys, I picked up Josh Allen, number one quarterback,
right.
and then also when I looked at defenses, I saw like Dallas was like the highest defense from last year.
Yep.
Um, Dallas has not been doing me great. Um,
No,
the
they
first week
they
they
have
gave
not
me
been doing
like a
good.
bunch of points, but like I think last week they gave me 1 point, and this week it's negative 1 point.
Yeah, they have
Would this
been
be
getting
time
their
to
butts
drop Dallas,
kicked.
or
Um,
should I wait it out and see
oh
if they can
man,
actually
see
pull out better?
what what I would do if this were me,
Hmm.
um, because I don't hold defenses very high on my list. When it comes to my roster, I
Hmm.
feel like any week I could stream any given defense, depending on what's available out there, and it
Hmm.
would be just about as good. Um, Mainly for the fact that you'll just see these teams just like even if their defense isn't that great, it just the matchup ends up being just right, and they have no business, doing good, but they end up holding a team, to low points and everything, and then next thing um, they have a defensive touchdown,
Hmm.
right? And that's like a big way to get points because you're getting 6 points right there from that. So uh, it for me, I'm like, yeah, kind of cut bait. It looks like Dallas is trending in the wrong direction
Hmm.
this year. I honestly expected a lot more with Mike Zimmer running the defense this year, taking over for Dan Quinn, who left for Washington.
Hmm.
But I mean, oh, if you have like a roster spot to spare, hold on to them. Go pick up another defense,
Okay.
right? Um, like Minnesota's defense. I mean, I know I'm a homer and everything, but you look at I think they've put up like 48 points, 45 points in the first 3 weeks of the season. They're averaging double digits every week, which is a major advantage if you're starting them. Um,
Okay, and Minnesota is available in our league, it
yeah,
looks like.
and I mean, and they're a great defense. Um, I want to say they're like the first defense to start the NFL season with 5 sacks, like 5+ sacks in every game so far. Um, they've been doing really good about turning the ball over and everything. Um, it's just, it really looks like Brian Flores has this defense locked down with the guys that they've brought in this offseason and everything. They kind of retooled the defense, got guys in that kind of fit more what he was looking for. They got younger and everything, and now it's looking like it's paying off big dividends right now. So, um, I mean, they're going to have their bad games like any NFL team does, uh, but that's one to watch out for. Um, Another one you can kind of do is just go to the defenses uh, under stats, just select the season total and then click the fan points, and it should order them from the most to the least points and everything. And then you can kind of see what defenses have been doing well, um, fantasy stat wise, and kind of make like a decision based on that. Like if you don't get Minnesota's defense, then what else is out there? Um, there's typically like a show my team option where you can click that and it'll show where your defense is compared to the ones that are available. And you can use that option for any of your players and everything, categories and all that.
Yeah, and the Minnesota Vikings are actually out of the ones available, they are number one.
Yeah,
Looking
who's
at the
number 2 right
last
now?
Green Bay Packers.
No, that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
they've done a really good job defensively. I think they've had a pick six or something last weekend. I think they're playing Tennessee, I believe. So, um, yeah, no, I mean that doesn't really surprise me much at all there.
Yeah, so I might have to clear out a spot on my bench um to get in
And
the Vikings.
remember, use your whole add drop deal. Don't just cut somebody.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. By the way, for the people watching, it, if it feels like you missed a couple episodes, it might be because we didn't get the chance to record last couple of weeks, the first couple of weeks of the season. That is mostly because I was gone, and so yeah, so we were unfortunately we're not able to record any kind of actual drafting or recap for the first 2 weeks, I should say. And so part of that did come in with Matt, you did show me how to uh, swap out players and whatnot and looking for new players. So
Yeah, and so I mean,
but
just to kind of like uh, piggyback off of that real quick, as far as like add
mhm,
dropping players and everything, right? Um, you go to the players tab, players section, whether you're using the app or your computer. Um, And so if you want to add a player, you'll see a little round circle with a plus sign in it, right? To add a
mhm,
player, you click on that, the player that you want to add. And what it'll do is it'll have that player kind of in like a bar, similar to what you would see for your lineup and everything. And then below that, you're going to see your roster. Um, and at the bottom, I believe you'll see add. If it's highlighted in blue on the app, then that means that you have an open roster spot and you can just add that player. If it is not highlighted, what you have to do is you have to select a player that you want to swap out in order to claim that player. Um, Players that have the yellow circle with a plus sign means they're subject to waivers. So what you're doing is you're going to be putting in a waiver claim, and then the waiver order will determine, um, who gets that player first. If multiple people want the same player, if the I'm just going to call it the add button. If the add button next to the player is green, it means you can add them immediately. Um, So and then you'll see that. So most notably, like players that play Thursday night,
Hmm.
as soon as our game starts and everything, they will turn yellow. You'll see the rest of the players will be green. Um, that's kind of how that plays out. Uh, but yeah, you'll select one of your players that you want to add. Click the little dot next to them on the right hand side, and then um, hit add at that point, and then your waiver claim will be submitted. So you don't have to go to the lengths of, I'm going to drop this player and then go and try to add this player separately. You can do it all in one convenient transaction. That way you hold on to your player if you don't happen to get the waiver claim for the player that you're looking for and everything. So that's just a quick rundown for everybody out there. Um, yeah, I apologize. We had some technical issues last week and
Yeah.
everything, but we're figuring out and we're off and rolling this week at least.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And yeah, that is exactly the mistake I made last week when I tried making a little bit of switch ups, and I was like, oh, I need room on my bench, so I got to drop a player to be able to have space. Yeah.
Right.
Did not realize you had the feature of being able to swap players out. Um, yeah, so that is very useful information to know. Um,
So because I'm not able to pull it up right now, but
mhm.
when does Adam's Awesome Amigos come play TJ, AJ, RJ backslash in the fourth, the fifth?
What is that name? What?
So, have you heard of the TV show Key and Peele?
Yeah,
Okay, so um, the have you watched any of it, or you just heard of it?
I haven't, like, I don't know if I've seen any like full episodes, but I'm very familiar
Okay,
with some of their skits, some of their more famous skits. Yeah,
okay. Have you seen the East West Bowl skit?
I don't think so. No.
Okay, so now you have homework. All right, you got to watch East West Bowl, and then East West Bowl 2. Um, at a minimum, those two. I feel like if you look, there's a third one, and they're all just clips and everything. I'm almost positive you could probably find it on YouTube where all of them are combined into one, so you get to go to one to the another and another.
Found it.
But there you go.
The
So
ultimate East West Bowl collection, Key and Peele.
yes,
Okay,
so
yes.
this is it's hilarious. Like if
Hmm.
you've seen it before, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm telling you, you gotta go find it and watch it. They are hilarious. Um, so basically, they started off by just kind of talking about how just some of the names of the players in the NFL are just like it's just getting crazy, right?
Hmm.
And now this is years and years ago that they did this. I don't think that some of these players are still playing, but I can tell you right now, one of them, Shaw Ferguson, okay, Ha Ha Clinton Dix is another one. Um,
Okay, yeah.
there's a bunch of them that are it's just it's different names, and I'm not playing, I'm not making fun of the actual players and the people and everything, but uh, Key and Peele were just kind of making light of it as far as um, the names. And so what the East
Mhm.
West Bowl is, um, if you watch like Sunday Night Football and everything, they'll
Mhm.
introduce the lineups
Mhm.
and all that. And additionally, some of the players have started to get a little goofy and
Mhm.
stuff. Because normally, they'd be like, oh yeah, like TJ Hawkinson, Iowa, because they say, the school that they come from and everything. And so, some of them have gone back to like grade school. They won't tell you what college they went. They'll tell you what elementary school they went to or something. Like, um, man, that's a whole rabbit hole we could go down, but we're not going to. Um, so to get on point and everything, uh,
Mhm.
the East West Bowl, they do the player introductions and everything,
Mhm.
um, for the East team and then the West team, and they're just coming up with these just crazy names and everything, and some of them are just hilarious. Um, you got shower handle, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it's funny because it's Key and Peele with the faces, but they're
Mhm.
constantly doing different hairdos and like
Oh,
different
yeah.
voices and
Yeah.
stuff for each player and everything, and then normally at the end they'll bring in an actual player, so like I want to say like at the end of the first one, they bring in Dan Smith from BYU, and it's this white guy that's like legit football player, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily NFL, but that I know of, but just legit, football dude. Um, and man, it's so funny. And then have you seen the substitute teacher skit?
Oh, yeah,
A
yeah, yeah.
Ron.
The kid, Aaron, yeah.
Oh yeah. So they got Aaron Rodgers to do this. So at the end of one, it's Aaron Rodgers and he's like Ron Rodgers, Cal. And just it's great. But yeah, one of
Mm.
so to answer your question finally is it's one of the players names that they do, and it's
Mhm.
just TJ, AJ, RJ backslash in the fourth, the fifth, and that one's just always stuck in my head because it's
Oh.
just it's all the J's and everything. You're just changing letters in front of it constantly, and then it's backslash in the fourth, and then you go the next number, the fifth. It's that one just makes me laugh. It's so funny. I think I'm gonna have to go watch these videos again
Go
just
rewatch them.
because. Oh man, because they're so funny.
Oh, yeah.
They have one part of that is they do the '85 Bears video. So
Mhm.
back in 1985, the Chicago Bears had this just ridiculous defense and everything. Won the Super Bowl, and they made a whole music video. The team did, right?
Mhm.
And so basically they were kind of like recreating that and everything. And yeah, it's hilarious. They get Dan Smith back in, and the dude's just rapping and everything, and it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
definitely something you gotta watch.
Definitely, definitely. I was looking through. Week 9 is when we'll face off.
Dang,
It
I
will
didn't.
be.
We didn't play the first week or two, did we?
Mm-mm.
Everything's just been moving by so fast already. So
You and I only face off once
man, that's a bummer.
in
Well,
week
that's
9.
gonna be that'll be a winner take all then between us and everything. So
We'll have to see how things are. We'll have to see how things are going. Because so
yeah,
far, I don't know how it's happened. I mean, like I'm like I mentioned earlier, like I was according to the fantasy league or Yahoo Fantasy, I had the worst team at all. Like the whole out of everybody else, I had the worst team. They were like, you're going to get 3 wins in this entire season. D minus is the grading card.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I'm number 1, undefeated, 3-0. I have the second highest points out of the entire league.
Yep.
The one that they gave the highest grade to was Casey's, and Casey, like, he just did auto draft, and he
Yeah,
was.
unfortunately, he was up in the mountains. He decided to enjoy nature and everything, then draft, which I can't fault him at all, at all for that.
I mean, hey,
Um,
he's doing decently well. I
and
mean, he's number
you
3.
know, no, he is. He's doing really decently well and everything. He caught a big break the first week. He was kind of asking me how to do his lineup and stuff like that, and I was just kind of telling him what to do. And he ended
Mm-hmm.
up putting in uh, Jaden Reed in Green Bay, who just went off and got him like 20 some points and everything week one. And he's been rolling it. I gave him the first loss of the season this week, but he's still third. Right now, I've been able to move into fourth after starting 1-1, so I'm off to a
Yeah,
pretty decent start as well. But yeah, it's really fun to see kind of those grades. Like I'm always like secretly kind of like shooting to get that A from Yahoo, right? Just to have it. But then at the same time, it's like honestly, like you guys don't know jack. Like you're taking this like based on last year and then applying it to this year and everything. But this year's a whole different year.
yeah,
Like teams have made changes, players have gone different places. There's new coaching staffs, in different places and everything. And so it's cool because they give you that grade and the scorecard and kind of breaking down, what they thought was great and everything else like that. So I'm not being really like critical of them, but it's like nobody knows, man. They said you were going to win 3 all season. Guess what? You got your 3. So
I
I
already
guess you're
have
going
my
to
3,
lose.
so I'm up
You're
here. I'm
losing
up
from
here.
here on out. You got
Apparently,
no, yeah, you
yeah,
overachieved.
yeah,
Um, but I
and
mean,
that's
that's awesome.
yeah. And and I basically, when I was doing my drafting, I took in a lot of the when we were going over all the players, that episode when we went over all the players. I actually kind of just went back through that video and was like, okay, remind me, what were we talking about? And I made quite a few decisions based off that. I
Yeah.
remember we were talking about, I think CJ Stroud was he was the rookie quarterback last year, if I'm
Yep.
remembering correctly. And after I picked up Josh Allen, I saw he was still around, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to bench him." So I just picked him up, and he hasn't been doing as well as Josh Allen. So I'm keeping Josh Allen at number 1. But I think last week he did better than. I mean, granted, Josh Allen gave me like 7 points last week 2.
Yeah. He had a
Um,
down week last week that kind of hurt me too. I got Kyler Murray in my other league as the backup option for the bye week and in case something happens or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you're not gonna start Josh Allen. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You're
like,
not you're not gonna come
as
up to the week and be like, ooh, I don't know, Kyler Murray has this better matchup or CJ Stroud has this better matchup.
yeah,
I don't know, like, ooh,
yeah.
should I take Josh Allen in the Jaguars or CJ Stroud against the Vikings? I don't know. It's like no, it's
It's
Josh Allen's playing is Josh Allen.
yeah,
Unless he's like playing on one leg, you know, then you might be like, okay, let's see who CJ Stroud's playing this week.
yeah,
So
and yeah, unless he gets injured, Josh Allen's my starter, absolutely. But Ingram, um, he has not been doing me any favors. I'm still holding on to him on my bench. I think he got me like 1 point the first week, 0 points week 2 because he got injured
yeah,
and he got out. I was like, great. And
you said
Schultz
Ingram.
for Houston, yeah, Ingram
Uh,
for the Jaguars, I believe. Tight
oh,
end for
Evan Ingram.
Jaguars.
Yeah,
Evan Ingram,
yeah,
yeah.
because he's been hurt.
Hmm.
The replacement for him is Strange, who I believe had a touchdown last night,
Interesting.
if I
Yeah.
remember right.
So that guy could have gotten a bunch of points. But my backup is Schultz from Texas. Is it Texans? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Dalton
Um,
Schultz.
and he
I
got me a
don't.
couple of points, but
I was gonna say
Pettinger
I
hasn't
don't
been
think
doing.
he did really too well. Like the Vikings really like clamped down on that.
Mm. Yeah, because the Vikings got like what 30 some points.
Oh, what was it? Yeah, I think it was 34-7.
Yeah,
Because they held on to that one and didn't give up the touchdown right at the end there.
Vikings have been
I think
doing
that's yeah.
fantastic this year.
Yeah.
It's
Now they're
great.
at Green Bay this week, so it'll be great. Kansas City plays the Chargers,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
that's an interdivision there. Divisional matchups for both teams this week.
Yeah. See, when does Vikings versus um Packers Sunday noon? Okay, fun.
Yep.
And the Chiefs versus Chargers. I believe if I'm thinking this correctly, the Chiefs is a home game um this week, this upcoming week. I know this mostly because my best friend, he has season pass tickets to the Chiefs game. He lives in Kansas City. So yeah, so it's I know it's like every other week.
Steve. Yeah.
Pricey endeavor, yes. They've been
Yes.
he and his dad has been season pass holders for many years. So before they started winning at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's now it's finally paying off. And I think what the last home game, I think he's there his and his dad's tickets went to his sister and her boyfriend.
Okay.
They went there instead, since he was with me. We were on our way back. So yeah, which I guess it makes it a little bit more interesting now that that Taylor Swift is there watching the games in the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, if that does it for you.
I mean, it doesn't for me, and it doesn't for my best friend, but I think
Yeah,
I told him.
some people it's a big draw. Yeah.
Yeah, I told him to ask his sister if she knew about that. I don't know if she's really that much of a Taylor Swift fan either, so it may
Okay.
not have been a big deal for her either. But yeah, yeah. So lots of
Well,
fun.
I look forward to checking back up with you next week and everything, and
Absolutely, it'll be an
we
interesting
will
time.
yeah, and we'll see how you fare this week and everything.
Yep.
Uh, hopefully somebody
Try to
knocks you
replace
down
the
just a
the
peg and everything, and
try to
let's
replace Dallas
me
with
catch up.
Minnesota. Yeah. See if I get that.
Yeah.
So I think I should have highest waiver priority right now since I'm number one.
It goes in order of who's made claims.
Oh,
So
right.
if you
I
make
think
a
that's how I
claim,
think.
you go down to the bottom, and then
Right.
if you make another claim, you stay at the bottom kind of deal. So it's whoever's not making claims ends up going up, and then once they make a claim, they get recycled to the bottom, and everybody kind of filters up and stuff.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yep.
It's my only claim this week, so who knows? We'll see. We'll see how that happens. So,
Alrighty.
alrighty.
Well, thank you for joining me for another episode, and
Definitely.
see you
Yeah.
next week.
Ciao.